Story 1. I rarely cry. I normally have almost complete control of emotional outbursts. But the day before yesterday, I broke down in front of my wife. I am a survivor of sexual abuse as a child, so you can imagine how so many of us in the United States are feeling right now. Story 2. Earlier this year, when I found out that my parent has terminal cancer and cried over the realization that when my parent eventually passes, I would have lost the person who loved me most in this world. The only person who truly loved me for me, who raised me and sacrificed for me. Ballet is seriously not a cheap activity to pursue. My parent put up with my nonsense even though I could not give them much in return. Yes, I may have friends and partners, but it's just different. Story 3. About a week ago, I started the divorce process from my abusive soon-to-be ex-wife, who was abusive both physically and mentally. She has basically kicked me out of our house and kept our dogs away from me for 3 months after I left. I miss my dogs and would do almost anything to spend just one more day with them. Story 4. Yesterday, watching Catherine explain to April and Jackson how their baby will come into the world with just minutes to live. She can still hold him in her arms until God takes him home. Story 5. Honestly, I haven't had a proper cry in many years. I've shed some tears, but not a good cry session. It's been building up. It will spill out soon, or at least I hope so. It's all very different for men crying due to societal norms. Story 6. When I legally adopted 2 of my children, my wife's ex-husband is a real scumbag. But at least he signed his rights away so those kids can have an actual father figure in their lives. Story 7. Election night. The result was bad enough, but then one of my older dogs went missing. I was terrified she had gotten hurt or died, so I cried while we were searching for her. We found her after about an hour of looking. She is happy and safe at home. Story 8. Last night, I am a veteran, and a local school said some upsetting things to the veterans that dredged up some old pains, which mingled with new pains. Story 9. Before, almost 4 years ago, I cried because my dad hurt me mentally. He's not usually like that, and it's very rare that I feel hurt by my parents. They are more than just parents. They are my friends, and I love them, but love can hurt sometimes. Story 10. Yesterday, my former partner and I ended a 12-year relationship over issues with his family. I've been moving furniture into a new place, and it all hit me again yesterday. I'm going to spend my birthday and Christmas without him by my side. It absolutely kills me, but the emotions come in waves. Story 11. Yesterday, my dad passed away a few years ago. Most days I'm okay, but it struck me again that he won't get the chance to meet my son. That gets me occasionally. My son is a good toddler. I think my dad would have really liked him. Story 12. This kid at the local elementary school was playing George Washington in the school play and had a particularly moving death scene. I didn't cry when my own father was hanged for stealing a pig, but I cried then. Story 13. Watching Death of a Salesman in my English class last week. It doesn't take much, guys. I also had to just about go over a dead deer in my lane recently and had a little breakdown with shaking and tears, the whole shebang. Story 14. Last week, I moved out of the house that had me on edge for the past 5 years. Thin walls meant I could hear the neighbors' conversations, their Staffordshire Bull Terrier barking every time someone came to their door, and their flock of carrier pigeons every summer from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. The man's behavior around it, their mannerisms of smoking and humming and everything, all finally gone. Story 15. A few nights ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, I had an argument with my father over something, and the way he spoke to me was very belittling. He told me I can't have boundaries and that I am in his world. It wasn't out of the ordinary. Sometimes I want to die. Story 16. The day my mom came to visit me in jail. She is mostly happy and a person with good vibes. Seeing her force that vibe back during the visit just to make me feel better made me cry so hard. I cried like a baby. It was 5 years ago, and I think I wasted all of my tears that day. Story 17. Last week, a storm went through our province, and the roof of our house was blown off. I cried while preparing to go to work because I take care of patients, and I couldn't bear the thought of leaving my family during a crisis like this. Story 18. 2 days ago, my mom was in a lot of pain and had very bad health issues. It really makes me ponder. If my mom left me now, I think I would leave this earth with her. Story 19. 2 minutes ago, I was feeling rejected by family, and then I remembered that nothing even matters that much anymore. It's weird how I have been able to pull myself out of negativity much easier and quicker lately. I can deal with the emptiness, but I don't want to hold on to sadness for long. Story 20. Tonight, my dad died last summer. I reread the obituary that I wrote for him. I'm proud of the job that I did, but I'm sad that I had to do it. So few words to sum up a life that meant so much. Story 21. When my cat was dying last year, all she could do was meow, then reach out and clutch my finger with her claws. Then it was shallow breathing until she passed. I made her as comfortable as I could. Story 22. Like full blown. I'm crying like my soul broke, or like this movie made me sad. I do not know about the first one, but the second one is probably every time I watch something. Story 23. Today, I told my significant other that I'm going to leave him because I'm tired of the way he treats me. This is his last chance, and I don't think he even cares. Story 24. A month ago, I was thinking about how much my son loves me at his soccer games, cheering him on. I got to thinking back to when I played sports in elementary school and high school, how I didn't want my dad at games because no matter how well I played, it was never good enough. He always found something to criticize, to tear me down for, and I told myself I'd never be that kind of dad. I'd be the dad cheering the loudest. Story 25. I cried when I saw an Instagram post in memory of someone losing their dad. I don't have the best relationship with my dad, but he lives in my heart, and even if I'm in my early 30s, he still offers me a ride to go anywhere I like, even if it's a quick stop at the donut shop near our old neighborhood. Story 26. Yesterday, I saw something I enjoyed and thought my older brother would enjoy it too. But when I turned around from my chair to show him, I was faced with the reality that he died almost 3 years ago, and there was no one to turn to. Story 27. It was 2 days ago, I believe. I feel very, very guilty for rejecting my friend. I tried to do it as nicely as I could, but I cannot seem to stop feeling bad about it. I made them sad, and that makes me sad. Story 28. Sometime in early 2023 only lasted a few seconds. And yet this year I have been run over by a van, which required a 5-hour surgery, weeks of being semi-suicidal in pain, and have been very, very alone for many months due to the recovery. The 2023 cry was probably an animal being treated poorly in a film. My emotions make no sense. Story 29. Around mid-June, I broke up with my then-girlfriend as I was not happy with the relationship. It absolutely shattered her when I brought it up out of nowhere. She resents me now. Story 30. A little bit last night. I got sick at work, and I do not like to be sick or call my boss to tap out. So I got a little emotional about it in the bathroom, though I rarely cry in public. Glad I did, though. I have the ick big time and would not have made it the rest of my shift. Story 31. Actually, earlier this week, which is pretty good. Before that was sometime this past year in the summer. I cry maybe 3 times a year at the most, if that. Story 32. About a year ago, I got some memories of when my grandpa used to give me dried grapes and bought me random items from grocery stores. That stuff always tasted good. It affects me pretty badly every time I remember his genuine smile. Story 33. The last time I cried was a while back when my sister was going through a major life problem, something that would really shape her future. I felt completely helpless because no matter how much I wanted to, I couldn't do anything to make it better for her. That feeling of being unable to help someone you care about just hit hard. Story 34. The day before yesterday, in the afternoon and night, I cried my eyes out. My tears just kept falling. I couldn't fall asleep because my eyes were too uncomfortable. When I woke up this morning, I still felt like crying. Story 35. 3rd of August 2021. My ex-fiancée left me without a word. After I found out she left me so she can go around and be with whomever she wants, the tears stopped, and I haven't had them since then. Story 36. Had to repatriate my wife back from Italy a few years ago due to an accident. Stumbled upon her old email saying how much she missed hearing my voice and that hearing me made her feel so much at peace and thanked me for getting her back home. She passed away last year. Completely lost it. Been together for 30 years. Story 37. 2 years ago, when my retina detached and I came home to find another family member having problems on top of my eye issues and being unable to work, I felt rage boil over pretty badly. Story 38. In the stairwell walking to my car about an hour ago. Today is my birthday. I feel old. Recently, I went on a couple of dates with the first girl that I've actually liked in quite a while. We seemed like we were just going in different directions in life. I made the call to say that it wasn't going to work out, mostly because I didn't want that decision made for me. She agreed and wished me the best. I said that I would still like to remain friends. No response. I was going to get dinner with my mom today, but I'm so upset about her political choices that I told her I would rather spend the day by myself than with her. She's been texting me nonstop since. My entire family, except my mom, have essentially felt completely devastated by the election results. My dad sent a text to all of us apologizing for his generation failing us. When I spoke to him on the phone the night of the election, he was crying and could barely talk. Rent is late and I don't have the money to pay it. I just sent an email stating that I would like to accept a job offer 3 hours away from the city that I've lived in for the last 10 years. I don't really have any friends to spend the day with. People keep telling me happy birthday, but assuming that it's happy is a bit presumptuous. Change that answer to right now. Writing this made me tear up. Story 39. Last weekend, my eldest daughter tried to kill herself. She's doing much better now that she's in emergency therapy at a proper facility. Extreme anxiety. Unfortunately, neither I nor my wife were the problem, and I say it this way because we would change everything we possibly could about ourselves for our kids. It's mostly in her head with a few external triggers. Dense crowds in hallways along with the noise level is a big one. So you can imagine going from one class to another in a high school isn't ideal for her. Story 40. Just thinking of my uncle and how much he suffered fighting cancer makes me cry every time. So I keep distracting myself whenever I get some of these flashbacks. He was more than a father to me. Story 41. I do not remember the exact day, but it was definitely from missing my dad. He died in March 2023 from cancer. I miss him every day. Every time my kids do something new or something exciting happens, I want to text him or call him, and he is just not there. It is a pain that many of us live with, and I hate that. Story 42. Every day this week, starting right now, not just everything, but I've also been really sick this week. My landlord told me she is selling my house, and my boyfriend is on tour, the music kind, and will be gone for 5 more weeks. And I'm trying to quit drinking. So a lot. Story 43. The other day, I am going through a divorce, and things are almost finalized. I am okay with not being with her anymore. I think I am just upset and anxious about a new and unknown future. I am apartment hunting and waiting for our house to get sold. I will be living alone for the first time in 10 years, and I am just intimidated by it all. When I think about everything at once, it can be overwhelming. I am 41 now and am worried about having to start everything over. Story 44. Last week, I lost my best friend in a failed relationship, which led to a breakup. In the same week, a family member was sentenced to a long prison term. I lost the 2 most important people in my life in 1 week. Story 45. The night before my divorce became final. Not because it was the wrong thing to do, it's just that you never go into a marriage thinking that is how it will end. Story 46. The morning after Election Day, due to getting into a big fight with my parents, I was panicking about the results. Instead of trying to calm me down, they dismissed my concerns, and one of them tried to physically throw me out when he was reminded that I am bisexual, only for them to scold me for being a bad son after I wouldn't stop crying. We all voted for the same person, so I don't know why they act like this. Story 47. Yesterday, I saw this video of a boy who received a stuffed animal with his mom's voice in it saying, "I love you," and the kid instantly started crying. As a kid, I lost both parents. That video hit me so hard. It was crazy. The video was on Reddit. I'm sure some of you all saw it. Story 48. Last weekend I went to see Here, The new movie with Tom Hanks and Robin Wright. It was a lot more depressing than the trailers made it seem, and I was crying by the end. Story 49. I have one of the most painful conditions one can have, cluster headaches. They can make a grown man curl into a fetal position and wish for death. A lot do commit suicide, hence the nickname suicide headaches. It's wrecked my life, and I'm getting closer to saying forget it. I started at 7 and I'm 40 now, and I'm tired. Story 50. I got an urgent task at work to add to my list of 20 other things to do, and I cried. I started this job recently, but really, I'm 5 months in and feel like I can't keep up. The person who did the job before me was doing so much more than I am. I just can't handle it. Story 51. Last night, I cried pretty regularly, almost every day, especially in the morning, usually in the shower, when thinking about the prospect of facing yet another day full of unrewarding tasks and tedious nonsense that I don't care about. I feel overwhelmed most of the time. It feels like every day is just a long line of people needing something from me, wanting something from me, demanding something of me, constantly picking away at me. It's like soul death by 1,000 cuts. Every day there is less of me left. Sometimes it makes me cry. Story 52. Around 3 to 4 weeks ago, I was crying at the bar I had been going to in order to make friends. I kept getting shut out because of a situation with a guy from there that made everyone think horrible things of me, while I had no control. I had more of a full breakdown, with all the guys sympathetically watching me cry over their actions and their friends' actions. I sat there, fully crying my heart out over how all I ever did or tried to do was be kind to everyone. It definitely killed the mood hard that night and probably made the guys feel terrible. I don't know if the guy, who actually very much apologized for his actions not 2 hours prior because everything came to light and his friends were upset over it, ever found out that I cried because all I've ever done is tell him it wasn't that deep and that I wasn't bothered nor hurt by his actions. He was struggling with it for months. And yes, this situation was going on for months. And I thought showing him I wasn't bothered would help him, while not knowing he was speaking poorly of me behind my back to literally anyone and everyone at the bar. Alas, it's all solved now, and he does keep on apologizing. He even apologized to my dad, who sometimes goes to the bar as well.